Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and joining me is Matt.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know where I am.
It's a new secret, top secret location that is
Yeah,
not been disclosed. The previous place was burnt to the ground
yeah,
because someone found out where he lived, and he couldn't have that, so it was
yeah.
burnt to the ground, and he's moved to a new location. That's what's happened.
I might be in a secret base in the moon. I might not be. I might be in the next room, but the thing is, you guys will never know.
See, I don't even know if you mean the next room to me or the next room to like whoever's listening to this. He might be in the next room.
I'm in the next room to the old room.
The
Uh,
the podcast is coming from inside the house.
that's exactly. I'm in your head right now.
Yeah. So Matt moving house is why, because obviously Connor's on vacation. That's why he's not here. We planned for that. We thought we could still record on the usual day, but Matt ended up having to move house on that day, and then his internet wasn't set up, so we had to push it another day after that. So we're recording this on Monday night, which is really weird. We've never recorded on a Monday night before. It's downright
No.
bizarre. I don't know what to do with myself. It's only 2 days till the new books are out. It's weird.
Yeah, it's short. I mean, short time.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
So yeah. So for most people, by the time you hear this, it'll be a Tuesday, which means the new books are out tomorrow. So apologies for that. But hey, back to normal next week. My cats are fighting behind me. It's distracting.
So back to normal already.
Yeah, back to normal. So yeah, we talk about DC Comics on this show. Coming up on this week's episode. Damn it, cats! Will you stop chasing each other? I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of it.
My dog's laying peacefully over here. No more hardwood floor.
Oh.
So, yeah. So no more
Nice.
clip clop of the Thunder Dog.
We can cancel
Now
that
just
order
feel-
for the doggy slippers, which we're going to have to
Yeah.
buy him just to keep him quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
no.
So coming up on this week's show, we have Wonder Woman 56, which is the next part of the Witching Hour crossover. We have Superman number 4, Detective Comics 990, The Flash number 56. We do not have Mr. Miracle, that was pushed, so I'll just take that off the list.
Sad.
That was sad indeed. What was the last one I said before that? I've just switched to a different list because I realised this one was out of date. I said Flash.
It's a tech
I said-
Flash, yeah.
I said Flash 56. Then we have Supergirl 23, Catwoman number 4, Titans 27, Hawkman number 5, and Plastic Man number 5. So that's what's coming up on the week's show. I actually only just realised when I was doing this list earlier that Sideways is usually out this week, but it's actually out in week 3 this month. But
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
week 3 is pretty quiet, so I'm okay with something being pushed to week 3. It's fine. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the books that are coming up. So there was no news. There was exactly zero news for the show this week. And then about half an hour before we went to record, the solicits for January went up. So I've not actually had time to even look at them yet because it was just before we started to record and I had other things to do. But for the sake of interest, I did want to glance at some of the new stuff. The Young Justice stuff, because you weren't even here last week to talk about the announcements of
No.
Young Justice.
It's a dual-edged sword. It's like, hey, I love these characters, but hey, these aren't the same characters. Cool.
What do you mean by that? Are you upset?
So,
What were you upset about?
I mean, like, look, I'm excited that Connor and Bart are back, but it's 90s Connor and Bart. Those are the versions that are endeared to me. So, but I have an open mind. Bendis has not let me down at DC yet. So, open
Yeah.
minds.
So we have solicits for these books now. The four, well, I think all four are here. I've not looked through the solicit shit. I'm doing this completely on the fly. This is complete live entertainment. But we have solicits for Young Justice here. I'm noticing the first issue of Young Justice, which is out on the 9th of January, is a bigger issue at $5. It's a 40-page book. So I thought I'll read the solicit for this because we got a little bit in the original announcement, but not like the official thing. So when the nightmare dimension known as the Gem World invades Metropolis, these teen heroes reunite to deal with the situation, but they're shocked to discover the battle may be the key to the return of Connor Kent, aka Superboy. I was going to say who, but they just told me. They literally just said aka Superboy.
Exactly.
This mix of fan favourites and new legacy heroes will be the centre point for some of the biggest goings-ons at DC. If that weren't enough, Bendis reunites with all-star artist Patrick Gleason for this book, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of the start of the Wonder Comics line. And we have a new teen Green Lantern, and we have... I thought it was Jenny Hex. This solicit says Jenny Hex with an I. So I don't know if this is a typo in the solicit, or if it was always meant to be Jenny. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think my dogs are chasing my cat, so...
Oh, good. We got animal chaos at both households. That's nice.
I'm gonna take a peek real quick just to make sure.
In the meantime... Oh.
Okay.
I was going to talk over him, but then he started shouting at the dog.
Matt's
back. Yeah. So we got the Teen Lantern, and are you on board with the idea of a Teen Lantern who has hacked the Green Lantern instead of being picked? Because Connor had a problem with this last week.
It's very much Ironheart, just brought over to DC. So in that way, it feels a little lazy. You know.
I like the concept.
Yeah, I always liked from the Batman Beyond universe, like the young Green Lantern, you know, because it broke that mold. It's like, well, why can't a younger person be fearless and get a Green Lantern ring?
I guess, so, I don't know if this was ever stated. I assume it was at some point. I imagine some point in the Green Lantern history this has been mentioned, but maybe it's just a simple case of they don't pick anyone under 18 because it's a police force.
Well, but there is that Zudarian from Venditti's run that she was like 14.
Okay, well, news to me. I didn't read Venditti's run, Matt. News to me.
Yeah, well, we talked about her. You know, she became not a central figure, but she popped up during the, you know, when Tomar 2, one of the Tomars from Zudar was doing that whole thing.
I feel like you're expecting me to remember you and Connor's conversations about a book that I didn't read a lot more than I actually do.
I'm just saying, we did point out her age. She was quite young when she was selected, but, you know.
I believe 40 Young Justice. And then we also get the solicit for Naomi issue 1. So this was a mystery. This was like, what's Naomi? It's a new character, but who is Naomi? So here's what's in the solicit. When a fight between Superman and Mongol crashes into a small northwestern town, Naomi... and then question mark last name, as if, you know, so they're teasing that, they don't know. Or they know, but they're pointing out that we shouldn't know yet. Begins a quest to uncover the last time a superpowered person visited her home, and how that might tie into her own origins and adoption. So she's kind of a mystery character by intention, by design.
Sounds something, had you not said Superman and Mongol, it would have sounded like a Bendis creator-owned.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, it's got mystery. Bendis is co-writing this with David Walker, and Jamal Campbell's on the art. As we knew that anyway, but worth mentioning. That's out on the 23rd of January, so that appears to be the 3rd week. Oh no, that's the 4th week actually, because it's a 5-week month. So cool. First issue of the Other History of the DC Universe is out. The John Ridley book, the Black Label.
Excited for that?
Yeah, that's out in the 5th week. That is a $8.64 book. It's a meaty one.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Moving 22 boxes of books. I am going digital for the most part.
Yeah, I was wondering when this was going to come up because I heard the complaints.
So, as much as I want that, you know, in my personal collection, I just think downloading it and keeping it in the cloud is much better. Also,
you're hearing 64 pages and you're like, that's like 3 comic slots in a box. That's triple the weight.
Exactly. So,
I mean, you could just not move again. I mean, that's always...
I mean, we could, but, you know, that's unrealistic because stuff happens. And right now they're in the garage because we moved to a smaller place and I don't have as much room. So it's like playing Tetris before. It's trying to fit them in. So we'll see where it goes.
So here's something. So obviously one of the things that's coming out this week at DC is the horror anthology book, or was it last week?
It was last week.
And we're going to cover that in week 5 because it's a big book and week 5's quiet, so we're going to do it in week 5.
Yeah.
Seems like there's going to be a romance anthology book coming out on the 5th week in January. It's called Mysteries of Love in Space. It includes writers James Tynion IV, Saladin Ahmed, who's typically been at Marvel recently. So that's interesting.
I don't recognize it.
I know him from Twitter. I've seen him post on Twitter.
Okay.
Cecil Castellucci, Kyle Higgins, Jeff Loveness, and others. And then some artists, Tom Grummett, Kyle Holtz, Elena Casagrande, Max Dunbar, and others. Cover by Joelle Jones. The cover is interesting. It appears to be Lois in like an old-timey astronaut suit, being romanced by Darkseid as Superman looks very angry. So this appears to be a wacky anthology book.
I'm looking for this in the solicits right now. What's it called again?
Mysteries of Love in Space.
Mysteries of Love in Space.
It's interesting. Here's the solicit. Sometimes love can make you feel like you're from another planet. But what if you actually are? Join Superman, the New Gods, Green Lantern, Starro, Hawkgirl, and even the Teen Titans' new sensation, Crush, for 8 tales of romance that will whisk you to the moon and back.
Wow, they're really going for it on that one.
Love in Space. Wait, what the hell is
this? This has James written all over it.
It does actually. So yeah, again, not looked at these before. We're discovering things. Superman 100-page super spectacular issue 1. Also a week 5 book. $10. It is 96 pages. This beast. This is written by Marv Wolfman. And art by Claudio Castellani. So this is the best Superman story I've ever written, so says the living legend Marv Wolfman. When you've written hundreds of Superman stories as he has, it means a great deal. This gem of a tale written and drawn from 2006 to 2009 for Superman... it's a reprint, never mind. Why is this near the top? I thought this was something
I don't know.
Interesting. Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, I will say, I found the Mysteries in Love in Space, and I quite like that cover.
I figured you would. It seemed like your kind of thing.
It's very retro futurist. And the Superman cover's not bad on this one either, but if it's a reprint, then that's weird.
I'm just going to control F through here for the annual since it's a week 5 month. Curse of Brimstone's getting an annual. Not that we have to... Well, Connor has to be concerned about that, but we don't have to be concerned about that. The Flash is getting an annual number 2. It's a Heroes in Crisis tie-in. Oh, that means Wally-related stuff, probably, with Barry.
Ouch. That hurts. Still.
Yeah, Barry's grief and guilt following Wally. Oh dear. So that's a week 5 annual in January. We're getting a Justice League annual number 1. This one's by Tynion and Scott Snyder. So I assume some. Wait, what the hell's that cover? Does Batman get heat vision on this cover? What's going on?
Which one is it?
Justice League annual.
Jail. Honestly, no. Okay, let's see.
What's happening here?
He does. Photogenic cat. But there's also some Kirby crackles around there, so I'm wondering if it's because it looks like they're on the source wall, so it could be the Omega as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's a Teen Titans annual. That's the Adam Glass series. That's annual issue 1 in January. And that's it. That's your whack. So there's 3 annuals, but there's a big love anthology that's 80 pages. As well as the other history of DCU, which is another 60 pages. So, meaty week 5 in terms of meaty books. So I just wanted to glance through the solicits there. Obviously, we've not had time to scour them properly. I didn't want to delay the show anymore to do it because we're late as it is. But yeah, a lot going on. And Batman Creature of the Night number 4 is only just coming out in January. Damn, that got delayed.
Massive.
That was a lot of delays. I'm looking forward to reading it when it's all done and I can read it in the collected format. But
we went over it when I didn't read issue 2. Then it might just read better in one sitting. Not sitting.
I mean, I really liked issue 2, but then issue 3 didn't come for a long time. Right. And then by the time it came out, I was like, well... And I'm glad I didn't read it now, because now it's been... 8 months maybe by the time this comes out between issues? I don't know what it'll have been. But... Hey, would you? So solicits. So obviously, if there's anything else interested in the solicits, by all means, do point them out to us on the Twitters at DC Comics Podcast. Love to see them. Like I say, what's the saying? We're going by the The
seat of her pants.
Seat of her pants. Thank you. That's the phrase. All right.
That it is.
All right, Matt.
I can stop looking at them.
Yeah, let's talk about books. Let's talk about some.
Let's jump into the witching hour.
The witching hour, yeah. So, what did you think of the first part? Just before we dive into.
I mean, it's a typical DC magic story. So, like, I'm semi-invested, but talk about going by the seat of your pants. It feels very, I don't want to say rushed, because just makes it sound sloppy, and it doesn't. But it picked up and went very quickly, based off of the end of Justice League Dark.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing. Is it just feels like it's continuing Justice League Dark's plot more than anything else. It just happens to be in some issues of other things as it's going.
Right.
Although, as I pointed out last week, Tynion said that he'd been trying to get DC to let him do a crossover for October, like a horror themed crossover for years. So I think he planned it as a crossover, but at the same time, it does just kind of feel it's Justice League Dark's next story. So
yeah, and with I like when there's crossovers that make sense, where that's not just thrown in because, Zero Year comes to mind.
Yeah.
Where we had all these wild ones just because, like, why did we need a Superman 0 Year?
Yeah,
in action that one time. So at least with Wonder Woman, she's on Justice League Dark. So, and I'm very much invested into this whole Hecate, triple goddess whole thread. Like, I did unnecessary amounts of research on Hecate.
I expect no less. Yeah. So this is Wonder Woman issue 56. This is James Tynion IV and Emanuela Lupacchino on the art. So this was kind of the fallout of the big, because obviously the first issue last week was the big opening of the big death and this massacre with the Are You Afraid of the Dark reference, which I'm not forgetting, by the way. It's not been forgotten.
Submitted for the approval.
And it's basically them going to Cersei for help this issue. And it has a bit of mystery where you don't know where they're going at first. And it's like, why are they getting a unicorn? What's going on? And then they're going to Cersei.
Can you imagine my emotions that went through when Cersei showed up and it wasn't the Rucka Cersei? I might have yelled. And then a couple pages later went, oh.
Yeah,
that's a typical Matt reaction.
Yeah, it was a meta joke because she's like, oh, forget, because it was like at first she's like, oh, let's do the big, the comic book theatricality, and then she realized, oh, she's the symbol, she's the Hecate symbol. She's like, oh shit, this is serious. Okay, never mind, normal Cersei. And I was like, okay, that was kind of funny. That was like, oh, I like the theatrics of the whole thing.
Yeah, and so that's a character that she, much like any of the other gods, I like when they write them as they're playing their own game, so their allegiances shift. So sometimes she might be an enemy to Diana, but this is bigger than both of them. So, they're going to be on the same side for this.
Yeah, she hugs it and everything. It's very friendly. She's all for helping. And so they sit around, and ultimately Zatanna's not very pleased where Wonder Woman's plan ultimately goes, which is, oh, you know what? This repelled the Upside Down Man, because that was one of the interesting things that came up in this issue, is that Hecate and her 5 chosen, where she's put her power, because someone tried to, sorcerers tried to steal her power way back when, so she hid it in 5 people, and she's awakening them now, and she seems that whatever she's doing, whatever Hecate is doing, is kind of like it's actually going to fight back the Upside Down Man and the other kind. So even if Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark win this fight and they beat Hecate, that's still leaving the door wide open for Upside Down Man. So that's probably the next arc, I imagine.
Right. And so the way that I'm envisioning it is that they don't have to beat Hecate; they just have to reason with her. Right. And I feel that's where it's gonna go, because if Cersei's a patron because she's the goddess of magic, she's not the goddess of magic, that's Hecate, but that's who her patron is. So I feel like we're going to get this kind of story that's like the Greek myths, where I don't want to fantasy book this, to borrow a term, but I feel like having Hecate on their side is better than just outright fighting her.
Yeah. I mean, I assume there'll be a lot more roadblocks and a lot more kinks.
Yeah, because we've seen what happens when her power gets unleashed, right? She burned up the Oblivion Bar and all those people in it that were just like peripheral to it. So, and here we get to see what was her name. Um,
Dawn. Manitou Dawn.
yes, Manitou Dawn, and how it's affected her. So, and then in turn how it affects Wonder Woman. So
Yeah, I mean,
think there's a lot of cool
I mean,
moving pieces.
Dawn's outright being controlled and
Yeah.
off to Nana Parbat, because we have actually Dead Man, because we get a scene where like someone from the FBI is questioning about her and how she left, and then we find out Dead Man was in there getting the details,
Yeah.
and then he eventually shows up to the rest of the team and fills them in on what's going on. But yeah, no, I mean, I almost gasped at one point when Zatanna says, "You know what, Batman was right. You're not ready for this," and then like Constantine's like, "Oh bollocks."
Yeah,
that's not good.
she went there. She went there.
So Zatanna and Wonder Woman have got a bit of a power struggle right now in terms of what is the right thing to do, and Zatanna's accusing Diana of not respecting the actual weight of magic in the world and what it means and the gravity of it. And Diana's like, no, we have to fight it any way we can. So I feel like Diana is being a bit headstrong here and will probably have to learn a lesson by doing this.
Yeah.
Something bad is going to happen because she's being this stubborn, basically. I mean, just to put it in a word. So I'm expecting
which we've seen go bad on both ends. You know, like sometimes it's good when she's stubborn, but other times it's her fatal flaw. So, but I like that because it was Wonder Woman centric, it just didn't feel like a crossover. I mean, not that I've been reading Wonder Woman since,
yeah, but I mean, you couldn't read this issue without reading the first part of it. You know, it would make it would mean nothing. It would make no sense. But there was some fun moments in there. You know, I like Man-Bat and Chimp. You know, their commentaries on things. But Man-Bat being happy that he was a cow for a brief second when Cersei was messing with him. It was like,
well, yeah, and I like when they bring up the Odyssey with Cersei and how she turns all the men into different animals and whatnot. So that's always fun. And then the art too. I love Lupacchino so much. Like,
Lupacchino's
one of my
great.
favorite working artists. So, and it worked out here. I like a lot of the magic designs with the way that she does them. Like the whole Manitou Dawn stuff looks pretty good. Like Cersei's when she appears with the lightning and whatnot. Like it's all very solid.
Yeah, I mean Lupacchino, like I don't know if she's been doing anything whilst Orlando's been on the book, but she was rotating in and out during the Robinson stuff because that tended to be the most exciting issues. Oh, Lupacchino's on this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to it. No, it's a solid part of a crossover. It kind of suffers from being the second chapter, right? Where it's like, you know, it's not the big bombastic things of the first chapter, and we're not at the point yet where everything's ramping up quite yet. This was very much the breather chapter in between that sets up the next stuff, which is fine. But you know, Tynion has fun with it. He has fun with the Cersei stuff. He has fun with the characters interacting. Dead Man was a nice, pleasant surprise, I thought.
Yep. I like his comic relief. Boston's always great for that. You know, and also Nanda Parbat being used properly. Unlike the last time I had watched Arrow, where it was Ra's al Ghul's stronghold, which is just incorrect, you know. So.
Yes. Yes. So the book ends with Wonder Woman, and this is what Zatanna didn't want her to do, was to try and harness the power of Hecate and control it in some way because she thinks it's too dangerous. But the book ends with Wonder Woman going off and getting Cersei's help to sort of unleash it. So she's in Hecate mode at the end of the book, getting ready to go fight to Nana Parbat. So that was where we wrapped it up. No, it was a solid second chapter. I don't have a whole lot to really say about it though in terms of breaking it down. Because it's just setting up the next part.
Yeah, it's the breadcrumbs issue. It's like where are we going?
Yeah,
let's follow this trail. So
what you have to, and you have to have it after the big bombastic, because the big bombastic opening is like, oh, here's the big explosion without much plot to really kind of explain it. So afterwards, we have to kind of explain it, and we have to slow down and set up where we're going, and. That's fine. The problem with monthly comics, well, it's not monthly in this case; it's weekly, which makes it much easier. But the problem with comics being 20 pages an issue is that you don't get to do both in the same issue. Typically, not always. But.
Right. Which the Witching Hour Part 1 worked pretty well for that because it was a standalone. So you could get the big bombastic and the story elements there versus here, which I'm very excited for 2 days from now, getting the next chapter.
Yeah, Justice League Dark's the next chapter, which is out this week. So, yeah. So, what are you rating it, Matt?
Oh, that's a solid 7.5. And I feel like the art's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there because I really enjoy Lupacchino.
Yeah, 7.5 sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's not as exciting as the first issue, and I'm sure there's more excitement. Better things to come. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the end of the crossover and look back, and this would be the weakest issue of the bunch.
Yeah.
And your mic's going, Matt.
Already.
Yeah. Although that was a slightly different sound this time. It was more of like a roaming purr. Anyway.
Is it any better now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
We're good. So yeah, we'll move on then. We'll move on to Detective Comics 990. James Robinson writing, Stephen Segovia on the art. Now, one of the complaints that we've had in the last couple of issues of this is the dialogue for Batman being a little bit off. I actually think this is... I don't dislike this issue. I think there's fun to be had in this issue. There's one scene in particular I like a lot. But I do think Batman's dialogue is the worst it's been in this arc.
You mean like these insipid goons?
I wasn't even thinking of that. I want to get the exact bubble here that I didn't like. It's just a couple of pages in. It's when so obviously we ended the last issue with him finding Two-Face, right? And it's just the fact it's the third page after the 2-page spread. I really had a problem with this bubble. It just sounded so unbattled. It sounded so teenage. I've battled new gods, man. First of all, Batman saying "man" at the end of a sentence like that is weird. No. And then the rest of this bubble, this gang of fools who can't even shoot straight, apparently. Really? Really? Like, when has Batman ever said "really" at the end of a sentence in this context?
What page is this?
It's like
there it is. It's on the second page. That's right.
Yeah. Like,
leave the snark to Alfred, Bruce, because he's better at it than you are.
Yeah, I mean... I could almost buy Dick saying some of this, but not all of it. Like,
especially now.
Especially now, yes. Oh dear. Well, that's a good point.
We'll get there.
You weren't even here for Nightwing last week. Just in a sentence, Matt.
Oh, I wanted to throw it out the airplane. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
There you go. Yep, that's what we expect.
I feel so bad. I feel worse for Percy, who took time, plotted out this really different story. Albeit it was kind of similar to Green Arrow.
It started off the same. By the time we got to like the wacky races in Ireland,
I just mean in so much as there's a sinister force that's secretly in control of everything.
By the way, what's her face and Willem are still kidnapped. Vicky Vale and Willem are still kidnapped. Yep. That's still up in the air because this plot just came in and railroaded it.
Yep, and I feel bad for Percy not being able to finish and then having to go out with that issue.
You can tell when he wrote issue 49, he had no idea he was going to be forced to write that shite in issue 50.
Oh man, so bad. Visceral reaction to which my wife goes, "Are you okay?" That's what happened.
Yeah, me and Card decided last week that I don't care what they're saying. He decided to quit the book when he found out he had to do this shit.
Yep.
I believe it. I thoroughly believe it now because it's horrible. Anyway.
But this issue, oh man, it's such a weird one because I forgot Cobra was involved after the last issue that was so focused on Two-Face.
Yeah, tracking down Two-Face.
Yeah, we get back to Cobra.
Well, I mean, that's actually the scene I really like is the GCPD when Cobra show up and the lights go out and they're like just massacring people left and right.
Yeah.
And Gordon's trying to hold his own and he's almost going to get shot and then Harvey Dent jumps in and saves him. I was like, oh, that scene was really good. It was really effective. The art's good throughout, but the art was really good in that scene. It played with the darkness, the shadows. And it was really good, but there was no Batman. That was the impressive thing. Is you were expecting Batman to jump in at any point, and he never did. It was Two-Face who helped.
Yeah, and I also like they're paying homage to Long Halloween, with how it's affecting Gordon too, because you forget Gordon and Dent were friendly. They were on the same side. He was the district attorney, and he was a cop. Because I don't think he was commissioner yet at that point.
Yeah, lieutenant maybe. something like that.
Yeah, so so they're on friendly terms. So how it affected the loss of his friend and him becoming Two-Face. So I like that it's playing with those three uh, as it goes, and then Duke shows up, and I don't want to become a self-parody, but
Actually, the only complaint I have about this, well, there's not the book, but the only complaint I have about the art in the book is that Duke looks about 35.
Yeah, he does not look young whatsoever.
He looks like he's been to war and back. Like he's come back after 3 tours, and he's this big macho man.
The sun does do damage when you're out in it too long, and he is the signal.
He is, yeah. He's the Batman of the daylight. Yes.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to be self-parody because I don't hate Duke in and of himself, but I did feel this scene was a little superfluous. It was just like Robinson reminding us that Duke's operating in the daytime, and he is doing important stuff. I
don't think the purpose of the scene is to remind us about Duke. I think the point of the scene is to contrast them with Batman, because Batman in his awful dialogue are there to remind us what type of character Batman is, because that's how it relates to Dent for the rest of the story.
Yeah, and you can't use any of the other Bat children right now. Having Babs there would have been weird. Can't have Dick because he's off having a mental crisis.
Well, now you get into your stereotype Duke hate, because...
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if you want to have that scene, who else are you going to use? There really is nobody, so you have to use Duke.
Okay, I thought you were saying there, why didn't they use X, Y?
No.
Okay.
No, I understand why they didn't use anybody else. Okay. You can't use Tim. Tim's busy. You can't. I mean, even Damian would have felt weird. So you have to use Duke, and I actually don't hate that use, but it just feels very superfluous here. Okay. Like we get a whole page of him doing the signal stuff, and you know what? I wouldn't be adverse because it seems like Robinson gets Duke more than any of the other writers that I've encountered. So I wouldn't even mind Robinson doing a signal book and like, what's he getting down to in the daytime versus what we've gotten before. So
yeah. So yeah, but we end with Batman coming to find Two-Face, and Two-Face wasn't quite expecting him to find this place.
No.
And he's like, I want to talk, and obviously you're getting the impression here that they're going to actually kind of find neutral ground to take on Cobra. Yeah. Like Cobra's the real big bad of this story. Yeah. Despite what Two-Face is up to.
Two-Face will shoot his own guys in the face, but he's not a terrorist. He has some standards.
Yeah, it's called 50-50. That's his standard.
Yeah. So I always think that's hilarious, where he's like, oh, come on. Like, these guys mean nothing to me, but I don't like the fact that there's terrorists in Gotham City. So,
yeah. So that's
so do you think
building up to.
Do you think Dent is shining through a little bit, or do you think Two-Face is playing to his advantage?
I think you want to hope he is, because of that moment with Gordon where he says Harvey, and then Two-Face runs off into the night. And I think Batman's right to be skeptical. Part of me thinks it's a ruse that Two-Face is doing this to play Batman and give him the seed of hope. But part of me wants to hope that he is. It's really him.
I like that when he's written as a wild card that way, to where he really does have that split personality, that Harvey could pop in. Which is why I don't think I liked the All-Star Batman stuff that Snyder did with Two-Face, because he just made him so maniacal. He was almost Joker light in that way. But I like that he can be that wild card.
My problem with that All-Star Batman story was just how stupid most of it was. I'm
just saying, I understand what Snyder was trying to do with Two-Face, but by upping him that much more. But I like when he's used as this. You never know which way he's going to lean. He could be the district attorney that does have a sense of right and wrong, or he can be the guy that's obsessed with duality, and this plays right into that. What if he embraces the fact?
And the cheap cliffhangers, that's the other thing I hated about that All-Star Batman story. That was full of cheap cliffhangers. Anyway, it kind of falls into line with the previous two, where it's nothing special, it's not terrible though. The Batman dialogue is pretty iffy, probably the iffiest it's been.
Yep.
But the plot's fine. It's got a couple of standout scenes that are actually really good though. So the art's good. Like I say, Segovia's a solid artist.
Yeah.
This is all right. So, what you give it about?
It's as solid as Wonder Woman, and So that's why I have to give it a 7.5. They're about even.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with that. I feel like this is more of a 6.5.
Okay.
Batman's dialogue is just too off for me to let that pass.
There you go.
But the art's good, and like I say, I really like the scene in the JCPD. So 6.5 from moi. That'll take us on to Superman number 4. Bryan Michael Bendis writing, Ivan Reis on the art. Trapped in the Phantom Zone with Rogolzar. That's where we're at. Rogolzar's formed a team with Jack Sewer and some other, Phantom Zone criminals, and he's coming for Superman. And a good chunk of this issue is Superman trying to fight him and try to figure out how to outsmart him and try to figure out, how we're going to fix this situation.
Yeah, so I realized here that Rogolzar has become better Doomsday, where, like, I never want to see him again after this arc.
Sure.
Like, if this is the arc we get him in, because of what he's not this, like Doomsday, where he was just this physical threat, right? But Rogolzar stands for something. Like, however twisted and however disgusting his views are, he 100% believes them.
Oh, sure.
And that makes him, to me, scarier than Doomsday.
I mean, my favorite part of this issue actually might be, when Superman's alone with Jack Sewer, and he tells Jack Sewer, hey, this guy, like, wants to cleanse Kryptonians. Like, for as awful as you are, you're a terrorist who blew up a Kryptonian moon, but you were doing it because you believed it was for the right thing for Kryptonians. This guy wants to murder you once he's done with me. Like, he is, he's
he doesn't care about you. You're a means to an end.
Yeah. And he knows that Superman doesn't lie. I really like that moment. He's like, we both know I don't lie. And then he flies off, and Jack Sewer's just like, Czar. Czar! So, no, that's good. Obviously, I trust you loved the flashback with young John.
So good. Remember when people were worried about Bendis getting rid of John? And
But he didn't respect the family, that he was just going to, like, get rid of them.
Yeah.
And didn't care about them. Yeah.
And it just shows that he is filling that groove just as well as Tomasi did.
He uses Superman's solar flare power in this.
Yeah.
Which, that's the sort of thing, after John's introduced that, I thought everyone would just forget about it because it was kind of just an okay addition. But here he is. He uses it. He's surrounded by criminals, and he blasts them all away with a solar flare. Although, we seem to have forgotten the whole thing where he loses his powers for a couple of days after it.
Yeah, but Rebirth. I'm going to blame that on Dr. Manhattan.
Okay, sure. Rebirth. Rebirth did it.
Yeah, Rebirth did it. But no, I just love their conversation and how he turns it into, John's, like, preteen angst. He turns into a lesson where he's like, well, I don't like all the stuff they're saying about us. And Superman's like, yeah, but we don't do stuff for that. We do stuff because it's right.
Yeah, he's giving him the speech about why he can't just go and punch someone, why he can't just go and crush them for saying something.
And it's like, yeah, we can do things the easy way, but that doesn't do anybody any good. And I love how he brings up Batman and how Batman drives him nuts. And, like, yeah, I could just pop Batman's head off, but, Batman does good.
He also calls him a brother. And then John has some fun with him. He's like, wait, so do you like Batman like you like Mum? And he's like, what? But no, I like this speech because the whole thing is that, yeah, Batman pisses me off. I mean, obviously he doesn't phrase it that way because he's Superman. But Batman pisses me off, but, the very next day he does something amazing and impossible that's inspiring. And sure, not everyone's Batman. And, of course, John has his little thank God under his breath. But, like, if you sure, people might be at their worst today, but tomorrow they might be at their best, and you have to give them that chance. It was a very Superman speech. It was very moving, very heartwarming, and exactly the sort of stuff that you should be telling young John. So that was good. So no, it was solid. So obviously, besides this, we had the Atom and the Flash trying to fix the Earth, and the Atom has this crazy plan to shrink the entire Earth and put it through the Phantom Zone projector, and he's got Barry off running, and Superman knows, like, this is the thing, Superman clearly knows that by distracting Rogolzar to get him off the planet, that he will not go with Earth, that he will stay here trapped in the Phantom Zone. And sure enough, he does. There's a great panel, they're fighting, and you can see the Earth behind them as they're punching each other, and then it just goes, poof, basically, blasts away. And it's a really neat moment. And I can't believe we return to the joke page of Adam Strange, but for a dramatic cliffhanger, because we think the Earth has been saved. Superman's like, oh, at least now I know the Earth's been saved, even if I'm trapped in the Phantom Zone. And then we cut to Adam Strange, and he's still like, where the hell's this Earth? Come on, where is it?
Well, it's not just that. It's this is Adam Strange. I need to report a missing planet.
So
the Earth, Terra.
So
like,
Earth is out of the Phantom Zone, but it's not where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
I don't have a guess at this juncture, but I'm curious. I'll say that much.
I feel like he's doing that for dramatic tension. I feel like at the beginning of the next issue it'll pop up, and then Adam Strange will be like, okay, I need to cancel that missing planet report. You know.
Yeah, I can see that. So no, Superman. It was a very action-heavy issue. It was a very quick read as well. I mean, admittedly, a lot of Bendis' books are quick reads, but I will say, obviously, Reis's art's been very good. I think this might even be the strongest out of the arc so far.
Well, because you get the action stuff, but then you get to the conversation and the facial expressions. Like, you can tell, just even if there's no dialogue, you can kind of get what John is saying and what's irking him, and then how Clark, talks him down. Also, he's wearing, if you look at the costume, it's the Rebirth costume with no trunks.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice that. That's nice.
Yeah, so I like that it plays with that. And also, when he's smashing the car, because that's where Clark takes him to vent his frustrations, it's a kind of a homage to Action Comics 1.
Yeah, there's also a lot of 2-page layouts, which gives it this epic kind of widescreen kind of effect. And what's funny, because it is so much action in the Phantom Zone, with so much punching, so many characters, and so much debris, it's all very confused, right? It's all very hectic. And that's actually what I like so much about the last page, is when you go to that last page with Adam Strange, it's so empty. He's just floating there with an empty blank space, because it's space. And it's just it's so effective how lonely it is compared to the rest of the book. The contrast is very well done. So I like
also the first page is Rogel's art riding a big giant Phantom Zone dragon, and it just looks metal as all hell.
Yeah.
So
we ended the last issue as well, but big two page layout. So Superman is proving to. I mean, obviously we've been into this since the start. We like Bendis. Connor's a weirdo is basically the summation of it. But
his insistence that he won't try any of the Young Justice stuff, even though it's like two of his favorite characters.
Well, he didn't try. He didn't say he wouldn't try any. He wasn't trying the Bendis.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like the one that's going to have Bart and Tim.
Oh, I was rubbing this in last week. Don't you worry, Matt. I was rubbing it in.
Yeah. Well, it mystifies me, because even if I'm not gonna lie, if that was Lobdell writing that book, I would check it out at least an issue. Yeah,
which actually reminds me, because I actually, after I read Nightwing 50 last week, I said I don't have to read issue 51. I already hate it, and Lobdell's not even on it yet. And then Connor made me make a pact with him that we'd both hate read the first one. So,
well, I'm gonna hate read it as well, because
okay.
I want to see how far it jumps. So because if you go back, I think Nightwing is one of our most consistent books. That through Percy, through Humphreys, through Seeley, we all basically liked it. That free fall I'm expecting to be huge.
Yeah. But this is Superman's very good though. Just to go back to the book at hand. Still loving it loads. Like I say, art's very good, very expressive, action packed in this one. And then you had the touching stuff with Jonathan as well, and then the funny ending. Is it both funny and like, oh shit, where did the Earth go? It works in two ways, and that's why it's so effective.
It's an uncomfortable laugh.
Yeah. So, what are you giving it? What are you giving Superman number 4?
This is a 9.
9.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
I am going to have to go with an 8.5, and my reason why I'm not going straight to the 9, the reason why I'm docking at that half point compared to you, I think is just because it is so much of just the action and punchy, right?
Makes sense.
I think flashback onwards, it breaks it up between the flashback and the Flash stuff and the plan to try and fix things. The first half's a bit more just punchy non-stop. And
Yeah.
So I could have done with breaking that up maybe in the middle of the first half as well. Somewhere about a quarter in, maybe it would have been nice, but minor quibbles. So that'll take us on to The Flash, number 56, Joshua Williamson writing and Scott Kolins on art. Which first and foremost, Scott Kolins on the art in this one. I was digging the art in this.
So Scott Kolins and Howard Porter are my two. When I think of them, I automatically think Flash because of their work on John's.
And they're both rotating on Flash right now.
Yep, and it just feels right.
It does.
Williamson's in that groove where it feels like fresh, but also a throwback because of all the stuff that he's doing with the Rogues. So
yeah. He did, obviously ended the last issue with Flash and Detective Burns, whose name I remember because it's Burns, and we're talking about Heatwave. But they're inside Heatwave's head because of the Sage Force, and Barry realizes this quite quick after the first attack by the big ghost spirit Heatwave. He realizes that's what's going on, and he's like, okay, this doesn't add up. We're inside his head. This is the Sage Force, and he has to try and explain it to Burns. There's some fun stuff with her where she's like, don't pick me up, even though he saved her from being blasted with flames. A minute later, he's like, hey, permission to pick you up. And she's like, oh, fine. And speed up.
And I also like how he kind of allows himself to be vulnerable when talking about Heatwave, and she's like, well, what do you know? You're not a cop. And so I like that, him almost giving himself up here.
Yeah, it was especially when she gave up her backstory about her parents working for the Falcones and then burning alive.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I never knew that. And she's like, why would you? You're not close with me.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh yeah, sure, yes, I'm Flash. I'm stranger. Ugh.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. But no, I like that he's fleshing out these characters. This is, again, I hate to keep comparing it to the Johns run, but I just feel like Williamson was informed by that in his Flash run, and Johns would take these issues to explore these newer characters like Fred Shire, or I'm trying to think of the other detective. I just read it, but he's the one that Plunder was from the Mirror Dimension.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, so you get these small little character moments throughout, and I feel like he's doing the same, like here with Burns. And I'm glad that we picked up on that. This was a different dimension, not a different dimension. They're in Mick's mind because of the way that they just dealt with all the other characters.
Yeah,
it
could have been frustrating if they were in there thinking they were in the real world and everyone was dead. Because then we'd have to go through the shock and horror. Like, wait, they're all dead. All of our friends are dead. No, we have to process that for the whole issue. I'm glad they didn't do that. That was a smart move, I think. Right from the get-go. And even the stuff with Iris and the real world, where she comes by Commander Colt's place, and he's got Flash and Burns just on these heat pads. Or actually, I say heat pads, probably cold pads. They're probably cooling them down. Yeah. And he's got Heatwave there and all his bandages, and he basically surmises that. Yeah, I don't know how to disconnect them without killing them, so they have to find their own way out. Also, if they don't disconnect Heatwave from the Sage Force, he's going to blow up so much. The explosion will be so big that it's going to take out the entire city. So the stakes have been raised. Yeah. So
I just feel like that's Commander Cold's MO is, I don't know how this is going to happen, but someone's going to die. Because he did the same with Trickster in Flash, and now it's Burns in Flash. So, but I'm enjoying Commander Cold as a character.
Yeah,
just because he adds that wrinkle.
Yeah, he's kind of this uneasy ally, and then last issue in the bar, or maybe 2 issues ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then here, interacting with Iris, and he's kind of this third party that's kind of who knows who everyone is. And then inside Heatwave's head, the idea that Barry's deduced that. Oh, this is kind of like when I get trapped in the Speed Force. He has to find his lightning rod, so he has to go to Mick's house, his childhood home, and when Mick kind of rejects, because at first he wants to find his lightning rod, but it turns out he wants to kill his younger self and almost sever the connection. So Barry has to save his younger self inside his head, in the hopes that next issue we can make him make the right choice and therefore disconnect from the Sage Force. No, it's really big, and the art is really, like I say, it's really nostalgic for me, because it looks like John's run. It really does.
Yep.
And then you have all this stuff with the big ghost heat wave inside his head. It's really big and destructive. And even just the snarkiness of Commander Cold when he shows up and saves Wolf, you know, because of the flaming spirits or whatever are going around, and he shows up and freezes them. Yeah, I'm so into this Flash run at this point, like, you know, because, you know, I had this ups and downs a little bit at the start. It was good, but it was like it wasn't quite there yet, and then for a good like year now, it's been this consistent book.
It's come so far from Godspeed.
Like, it has. But Godspeed's still a player, and he's actually, if anything, more interesting than he was at the start, because there is this kind of, he could maybe, you know, be rehabilitated. He could be on the good side now, which is interesting.
But
I guess Godspeed could kind of almost become the I won't say Jason Todd. It could become the Huntress of the speedsters, where he'll go further, he'll go darker, but he's not a villain necessarily.
Yeah, and he's likable, so he's not Jason Todd at all.
Yes, exactly.
So,
yes. August, better than Jason Todd. You heard it here first, folks. You probably hear it here second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth.
Except for Connor, because Connor loves the redhead.
Exactly, yeah. Connor loves redhead because he's weird. But yeah, no, I'm digging Flash. The art is making me so nostalgic. It really is, and it feels right for Flash. It feels like Flash feels exactly how Flash should feel, except that Wally's missing. But other than that,
yeah, God, that still hurts every time.
It still hurts. But Joe, what's amazing to me is I think back at the start of the book, because we had to like pick up where the New 52 left off with Iris being kind of separate, and having Iris at this point now, we're not only are they dating, she's actually getting memories back of the previous life, and it feels like Iris is Iris again. It feels like she's Iris who interacts with Barry, who understands him, who knows him, who'll push him.
I like the symmetry of Iris having a secret now.
Yeah.
Versus Barry. So it's really well done.
What are you giving Flash 56?
So this was an 8. Really good. Curious to see where the story goes from here. But yeah, Williamson's hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah. I'll agree with 8 out of 10. I'm digging this. I mean, it's funny. This and the Trickster story from last arc is probably the 2 weaker stories compared to the 3 that came before it. But it's still like the standard now is incredibly high. I'm really digging this Flash run. I really am. Williamson's doing a great job. That was like is Supergirl issue 23. Marc and Andreyko writing, Kevin Maguire on the art. And speaking of doing a good job, I mean, we gushed over the first 2 issues in this run. How did you feel about the 23, Matt?
Oh, the 23 is this one, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I got lost on that one. Oh no, this is another great issue. Like, I love that all the times I've read Mogo, Andreyko's given him a personality. You know? Like,
yeah, like
I love that.
I mean, obviously we ended the last issue with her. She snuck into the archives and she got this hologram of, and I noted down his name because I was never going to remember it, Appa Ali Apsa, the Guardian from the Circle, that the council that was kind of possibly behind the destruction of Krypton, or Rogozar was part of the Circle, he referred to it, and he gives her a crystal. This is like almost Kryptonian technology. It's it's the hologram of the person gone, who's died, and gives her this crystal. It's like, I've hidden more crystals because I didn't want to risk like someone being able to find it and just destroying the whole thing. So they're all separate, they're all hidden. So you've got a bit of a scavenger hunt, and each one will give you information on who's behind the Circle and who to look after, who to look for, and so on. And so she's got this mission, and she wants more information. And and the art here is great as well. Like her screaming for answers and frustrated that he's leaving so soon. It's kind of heartbreaking. But then the Green Lanterns are all there, and Kyle there, John's there, along with the Salak is pissed. He's ready to fire.
Oh, I love Salak here.
And she's just like, hey, guys, I can kind of explain, but I don't have time, so I'm going to run. And they have to track her down. And there's some humor to be had here. Obviously, Kyle's expense, of course, because he doesn't put a bottom on his construct. So Kara tornadoes down the concrete to get away.
Oh, I love that.
And we also have Crypto getting the crystal, and then that gets stole. Now, keep me right here. Is this Badge or Chip?
This is Badge.
Right, because I never remember which one's which.
Yeah, Chip is the chipmunk, Badge is the squirrel.
That makes a lot of sense, but
Yeah, I mean they are from the same planet. They're kind of interchangeable, but
yeah, I always mix them up. But
I think Chip is dead, and that's why Badge exists.
Okay, right. Okay, I'll try and keep track of that. Badge is the only one who's alive and kicking right now. That makes it easy.
Yeah. I'm gonna double check this while you talk.
You double check that. But she ends up under the surface of Mogo, and Mogo actually captures her, and she thinks she's going to have to fight. But instead, he's like, you know what? No, I can tell your quest is truthful and honest. So I'm going to help you. I've got a ship ready for you. Your dog's ready. You know, here's a door. Go out here. Oh. And she's like, oh, I thank you for this kindness. To the point where Salik's about to shoot down her ship when she's leaving, and Mogo like blasts him with water. And Salik's like, we'll talk about this, Mogo. We'll talk about this.
Yeah.
Salik's kind of a dick. I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, but he's that type because he's so by the book, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's why. And he's not going to have the Guardians. Like, I always feel in Green Lantern stories, he has the Guardians back until they do something really dirty, and then he joins the other Lanterns. But up to that point, he's their representative. And here it's the same thing. Yeah. You know, and now I like that there's going to be this dogged pursuit, at least by Salik, by the Green Lantern Corps to find Kara. And then maybe his sister once she uncovers what the actual truth is. Because you have the feeling that if there's this intergalactic circle, you know, this Illuminati, if you will, then the Green Lanterns are going to be used to bring them to justice.
Yeah. So, given that they've been a part of this arc so far, I expected by the end of the arc that they'll realize that she's telling the truth and they'll help arrest or whatever, you know. Now, I really dug this a lot. The art's still fantastic. The look in Kara's face when Krypto makes the save with the crystal brought utter delight to my heart. Utter delight. It's gold stuff, and I think it's hard to talk about it now 3 issues in because it's kind of just consistently as good as it's been. But every time I get to this book now, I'm like, oh shit, this looks really good. Like, this looks good. It's got a great story. His voice for Kara's down, and the quest itself is interesting. I mean, my only critique, my only disappointment to and this is minor, is just that the actual quest of having to find, like, you know, the 5 or 6 crystals, whatever it's going to be, is a little bit like, okay, that's your next like few issues, is just going around like to where each of these crystals are. It's very video gamey fetch quest almost, where that's your simple premise of a quest is like, hey, you need to go and get these 6 things, so you have to go around and get the 6 things. Yeah,
we have the MacGuffin now. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit MacGuffin-y, I guess, is what I'm saying. Yeah, but other than that, as a plot device, like, I have very little to complain about. Krypto's a good boy.
Krypto is a good boy, and also we get there's a spy on Mogo.
Yes.
Working for what's her name?
Oh, I noted this down. Gandello.
There you go, Gandello, who looks like Icicle from Justice Society. So,
but not Cold Snap.
But not Cold Snap. Yeah, so we'll see. I think she was in the inner circle that we saw with Apollyon.
Oh yeah, she mentions it, and she also mentions that she says to her henchmen, "Get the spy. They'll take care of her." So I assume this spy will be a villain that pops in next issue to try and assassinate her, or capture her. So. I'm Supergirl's great. Like, it's actually
so much fun.
It's actually great right now. What are you giving it, Matt?
8.5. Huh?
I'm giving this a 9. I'm going to rank this slightly higher than Superman.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm going to 9. So Supergirl's on fire. I've been loving this run. So we'll go with a different lady. We'll go to Catwoman number 4. Joelle Jones doing the double duty as per usual.
Somewhat, because there's the flashback story with art by
Blanco, right?
Yeah, Fernando Blanco.
Yeah, that's right. So and there's a lot of its flashbacks, admittedly. So it's a very flashback heavy book.
Yeah,
this one.
But Blanco's art style complements Jones's very well, to where unless you're really thinking about it, it feels like she just changed up her style for a flashback. But, yeah. So, did you ever read the Brubaker Catwoman stuff, where this is drawing from?
Nah, it's on the to-do list. Because there's those stick trades they've got out of it that you can get now.
Yeah.
It's on the purchase list at some point, but I have
Yeah,
not.
because I haven't either, but I know of it because of how shocking it was when it happened. So, and you know, for those that don't know, it goes into it here, and we'll talk about it. I don't want to give that away too soon.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of this book is kind of telling what happened to her sister. Like, what is the backstory here? Why is she in this place? Why is she so messed up? And it's because Black Mass, to get to Catwoman, first got her sister's husband and killed him, and then did this to her. You know, so.
Yeah, like we're talking like stuff from Hostel, to poor, what's her sister's name?
Maggie, how about say?
Maggie, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was super dark, and as someone who's not read that stuff and is, I mean, only vaguely aware of some of it, it was like, oh, okay, right, okay, they give me a good sense, because they have to, because Joelle Jones had to explain this, because a lot of people reading this will not have read that stuff, because it's a little bit older now.
Well, yeah, I had forgot, not that I forgot it happened, but I had put it out in my mind that it had happened, and then the sister showed up at the end of the last, when she goes to talk to her, and she's catatonic. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that means those events have happened, you know?
Yeah,
so
it's one of those things where it's like, it's obviously old things have happened still, and you're expected to remember things that from, like, you know, Superman and Batman and Green Lantern. But the difference is that I feel like in those books, when it's something big from a long time ago that's still meant to have happened, it's referenced every so often that you know it's always happened. Like, it's always brought up again. Like, you know, the death of Superman's brought up every so often.
Batman breaking his back.
Yeah, every so often it's mentioned. Whereas I feel like this backstory with Catwoman's sister hasn't been mentioned in a long time.
No. So, and that's why I kind of spaced out on it. You know, it's up there with Selena getting knocked up by Slam Bradley's son, and Holly taking over as Catwoman for a little bit. You know, I was like, oh yeah, that happened at one point, but you know, you forget about it because DC seems to want to get away from that era. So, you know, but yeah, I like the Jones exploring their relationship as kids, how basically her sister Maggie was the quote good one and Selena was kind of the bad one, but they're like a yin and yang. You know, they rely on each other, and that Selena has this protective streak that gets them into trouble, but Maggie has this forgiveness, and that no matter how bad Selena breaks, Maggie's always there to catch her. And I feel like this issue really touched on what makes that work. Yeah, and how.
And of course, the idea is that she that you just said that, you know, no matter how much she falls, Maggie's there to catch her. The idea that after the wedding, this is her falling. She's in free fall, and that's why she came to her sister, because she needs to be catched. She's seeking that out. My favorite part of the book was probably the extended Halloween sequence where there are kids and, you know, Selena's still in the costumes, and there's this kid being bullied, and Selena has to intervene, and she ends up pulling out a gun, and she's still a kid at this point, it's worth mentioning.
She's like 11, 12-ish.
And of course Maggie's like, why'd you have a gun? Like, you could have killed him. And she, like, you know, stares down the guy, and she, like, really threatens to shoot him, and, you know, he's sort of like, no, you're not going to shoot me. He's like, oh, do you really want to test me? You really want to do that? It's a really effective sequence. It's definitely probably the longest sequence in the book, and I think that's probably why it's the most effective, because it's jumping around a lot of things up until that point. Just, you know, glimpses here or there. And then the big thing at the end, of course, is that one of the doctors is from the Creel family. Yeah, he's there to take care of her. So that family, you know, and obviously that's who we've been dealing with as the villains. They are monitoring her sister for some reason. They are. Not even just monitoring, they're drugging her up. They're giving her stuff.
Yeah, they're keeping her catatonic, which we thought, like, oh, well, no, she's just catatonic from the trauma of what Black Mass did, but now it seems there's more to it. Like, they're actively gunning for Selena.
Yeah, and because the last panel of the book is Selena's eyes just sort of, like, you know, like, going, like, evil. Just like, yeah, like, I'm coming for you, dickheads. I'm going to find out what you're doing, and I'm going to scratch your eyes out, because I'm the goddamn Catwoman.
Yep, that's what she does.
Is basically the thing. But yeah, like you say, the art's very good, even though it is, you know, not necessarily Jones for a lot of it. But it's flashback, so it works quite well. And like you say, his style does complement hers enough that it doesn't feel like that much of a shift. It's just enough where it feels like, oh no, it's a flashback, so it should be simpler.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And I feel like she's handling that well, because she knows as she's writing, she's not gonna be able to draw every issue fully. So I like that she's telling these stories in flashbacks. Because the last one, we got the main bad guy. I forget her name, Mrs. Krill. We got her backstory, and it was handled in kind of the same way by a different artist. So I like that it feels like it's hitting a rhythm now. I was very skeptical about this book, but I'm enjoying it through 4 issues.
Yeah, I think it's starting to find its feet a little bit because I remember the first issue or two not feeling as maybe as special as we were expecting them to, because you're like, oh, Joelle Jones is doing a Catwoman, but it's going to be amazing. And it was just a little bit bumpier than I think we were expecting. There was a lot of things to like about them, but and I think after issue 3 I said, I'd come to accept that I enjoy this book, but it's not going to be the thing I was looking forward to every month like I thought it was going to be. And I still kind of feel that way, but I do think this is probably the strongest issue of the 4.
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, and a lot of it plays off of that dynamic with the sisters and Selena.
It's more personal. There's more emotion in it.
Yeah.
I think that's why it works better.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel the same way. I mean, as much as I like the last issue, this one resonated a little bit better. So, yeah.
All right, what are you giving it, Matt?
Oh, this is an 8 as well. So we talked about the art. I feel like the art does a lot of heavy lifting, like in some of the other issues, but that story really drives it home. Actually, 8.5. I'm going to bump it up because that makes more sense. Yeah, 8.5.
See, I'm scared again. I just said this was the best one, and I'm scared I'm going to give this a score, and someone's going to go back to a previous episode and go, "Hey, you rated issue 1 higher than this." Yeah,
but that's what happens when you add ratings.
Yes. Ratings are like a river; they are fluid.
Yes.
No, I'm going to go with 7.5. I think it's good. I think it's getting better. I think it's finding its feet. I think getting the emotional connection is a big deal here, which I think, because there was some of that, of course, like seeing her like feel the pain of the wedding and what she's going through was there, but this adds a more personal kind of stake to the fight and what the villains are doing, which I think ups the story a bit. So, no, Catwoman number 4. All right, that'll take us on to Titans number 27. Dan Abnett writing, Brent Peeples on the art. So this is interesting because we weren't sure how this was going to tackle Dick being shot in the head, and we weren't sure because I assumed that it might go an arc or 2 before it address it. Like, no, this is just all set before that happened. Dick's still around. That's not the case. It does say it's set before Nightwing 50 because the idea is that he's still lying in a hospital bed somewhere, but Dick has been shot. But this issue is entirely about how the team is treating it like their best friend just got killed. And in fact, hell, Dawn is even putting flowers at Roy's grave. So this issue is about dealing with death and the emotional fallout of said death. And you know what's funny? I think it kind of works in a weird way. Because when it comes to the Dick stuff especially, because we're all upset that what they've done to the character, this issue almost felt meta, where the characters are upset because Dick, as they know him, is gone. And I was like... This is making it very empathetic to me. That they're kind of feeling like I am about Dick right now.
Yeah, that was a thought that I had right before this week got started, when we were, the whole Nightwing stuff and all of that. And I had a thought, I was like, well, how's this gonna be handled with Titans now? Because the whole point of that book was this was Dick's team to go take on these threats because of the Source Wall.
They do address. They bring this up as Dick's team. Yeah. And
so when I open this up and that's what they address, I go, oh, well, look, Abnett's on top of it. Thank you, Abnett.
Joe really gets me is the idea that if Dick had died, right? Let's say Dick went out, that would almost not be as bad as what they've actually done to him. Even though the death might last longer. But if a comic book character dies, I expect them back at some point. When a character's changed, like Dick has been changed right now, it's like, well, yeah, this isn't permanent either, but how long do we have to suffer this? Like, I almost rather he would be gone for a couple of years than have to have this version of him for a couple of years, right? So it's almost sadder than a death. So the characters all acting like this, as if it is like this really bad death, actually really works in terms of connecting.
It really sells it.
Yeah. So like that worked, and apparently in the solicits, by the way, someone pointed this out, is apparently Kyle Rayner's coming in to be on the team, so I think he's going to be there, which is cool. Like Green Lantern representative.
Well, he fits in too because he was on a couple Titans teams.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
And
so
he's the younger of the original 4. He's the younger guy. So He
And
fits in
that's
well
cool.
with the team.
Spread them out. Like you got Jon Stewart, you got Jess on Odyssey.
Hmm.
Throw Kyle over here. You know.
So now actually I'm cool with that actually. But so they're
Yeah.
trying to save Tyler, who's the guy who was the first incident in the first issue of this, this new sort of direction, and he's lying there in the hospital bed, and they're trying to figure out a way to deal with him, and they can't. And Beast Boy is determined to try and save him. Beast Boy really wants to sort of just do something good, and he wants to be convinced that they can accomplish something. Partly because there's been so much death in the air that he wants to achieve some hope. And this is where the issue really goes for a gut punch, because basically him and Natasha have a really good heart-to-heart on the roof, and then Natasha thinks she's got a chance, a long shot that might pay off, where what if we overload him with more source wall energy so that his body can sort of take it and be used to it almost, try and build up a tolerance almost, so it won't kill him. And it's risky, and Miss Martian, who's kind of the head of the team right now, says no, it's too dangerous, we're not going to do it.
Well,
and
we're not in the business of doing human trials.
Yeah.
This is unstable new, energy. We can't do that. And I love Beast Boy's reaction to that. Is he goes full Hulk.
He does, but the argument here makes sense. It's well, yeah, but he's going to die anyway. We might as well try it.
Right.
He's dead. He's dead no matter what. At least this might give him a chance. And it's a great moment where Donna comes in and says, "No, Dick would have wanted to try. If this is the only option, Dick would have tried. He'd make a speech, and he'd convince us all, and we're all friends here." And she looks right at Miss Martian and says, "No, we're all friends here." And this is after she's had a heart-to-heart with Raven, because Raven's not got her soul self right now, so she's not feeling any emotion, and that's hurting her. So them bonding was a sweet moment. And then you have this, and they try it, and this is the gut punch of the issue, is that after all this, after Donna at Roy's grave, then all this conversation about Dick being gone and shot in the head, and then they try this plan and it fails. The guy dies.
It's all for nothing.
Yeah, they have to look up and tell Beast Boy, and sorry, Gar, he's gone. He's dead.
Well, I almost feel like this kid is a proxy for Dick, because out of everyone that's been on the team, if we're using the old school, Beast Boy's been on. Him and Raven have been with Dick the longest. So it's almost like this guy's a proxy.
Is that true? I mean, Raven, sure. I don't know.
Yeah, Beast Boy and Raven came in at the same time.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
But Donna was there as well.
Donna's been there, but I'm going off of she's not reacting. She's doing her drinking, So.
I really like Donna in this issue, because after she has her moment with Raven, after she lets her anger go, she comes in and does the Dick speech. I mean, she doesn't do the speech after the guy dies. She's like, if Dick was here, he'd say something to make this be okay. But she comes in and plays the leader role. She sort of takes a cue out of Dick's book to get everyone on board, which I thought was sweet. So yeah, I mean, it teases the next thing. Aqualad, or Tempest, Garth is coming, and he looks evil for some reason, so we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite the fact that I'm not convinced the deaths in Heroes in Crisis are going to stick, and despite the fact that I'm annoyed at the Dick thing, it kind of this issue, their reaction to Dick being shot kind of made it work as a sort of an eulogy for that character who's kind of gone for now.
It just reinforced how much I don't like this change in Dick.
Oh yeah.
But at least they're leaning into it with his team. It's not like they're just ignoring it. They're just like, oh no, this happening to Dick would have consequences. And I'm curious to see how Damian, if Damian's gonna react to it in Teen Titans. Because that's what I'd want to see too. But yeah, oof.
Yeah. So I thought it was good, and the art's still good in this as well.
People's, he's solid. I just love his beastly Beast Boy. It looks, he looks proper menacing. When he freaks out, where he says he's effing dying, you just feel that rage throughout. And the one part of the issue I could do without is kind of Ben doing this kind of side-eye snark to Miss Martian.
Sure.
Where he's like, yeah, you feel like you don't even know people. And it's like, well, that's your secret with her. Don't be a jerk about it. She's trying as hard as she can.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just skimming through it just now. The art is really nice. I think his humans look good, but I think his non-humans especially look really good. I think Miss Martian looks great. I think Beast Boy looks great. Yeah, they look really, really good. But no, I like this. I feel like this was what was kind of missing from the early Titans issues. You know, back when Booth was on the art. Is I feel like this is doing a good job of having the character beats there for all the main characters, and they all feel important parts of the team, and it all feels like they're being affected by the world and things are moving forward in some way. Even if you don't think the plot of the book's necessarily the greatest, and you know it might be, it might not be. I think there's something eternally more readable right now about this book than there used to be. And I still liked the book back then. I still enjoyed it well enough, but this is better.
Yeah, but it felt like it was in a holding pattern, and now it feels like it has a purpose. And even though that purpose might have changed a little bit now because of the departure of Dick Grayson, you know, I'm curious to see where it goes.
Through no fault of Abnett. Imagine if Abnett was told, "Oh, you have to keep Dick, but he has to be this new Rick Grayson bullshit."
Oh God.
That's when they announced Lobdell's taking over Titans as well. Lobdell's doing Titans on Nightwing.
I've already done with the Lobdell Teen Titans team. Like, it hurts.
It does hurt. Yeah, I want no part of it.
No.
Yeah. Nah, Titans has been pretty solid ever since issue 20. I think 3 or 22, whatever it was. It's been really solid. I've been digging it. So, are we giving it, Matt? Are we giving Titans?
This is an 8. I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one. I do like the character beats here, and I'm kind of glad they went through with the death of the Kyle character, because had he made a miraculous recovery, I'd have been like, oh man, this is cheese. But the fact that they made it stick and how that's reacting, and you know, Donna's single tear down her cheek at the end. You know, I think that summed it up perfectly.
Yeah, well, that was pretty tough. Her giving a single tear means a lot. Means a lot. I will give it. I'll also give it an 8. That was a solid issue. All right. That'll take us on to Hawkman number 5. Robert Venditti writing and Bryan Hitch on the art. You and Connor read this, but Connor's not here, which means you are on your own. Hawkman 5.
Yeah. So we get this is the science-y issue. And we get Ray Palmer buddying up with Carter, and he's trying to figure out why he's doing all these jumps. Like, it's not making any sense. Why would he jump to the microverse? You know? And Ray comes up with the theory that these jumps, you know, time is this weird creature where it's not linear. So the fact that he's jumping to these different times, Hawkman doesn't have a chronological order. He's kind of scattered all over. So the fact he's leaving himself clues might be him from the future, because he knows what he needs to fight these gigantic hawk beasts that are showing up.
Okay, so this is very Doctor Who. I'm just going to say that right now. This is very Doctor Who, this plot.
From what I understand, and so they end up in this section of the microverse where just his presence, a lot like in the other jumps, it sets off this living planet that's almost like Mazga, that name, almost like Mogo, where he was this living planet, where he was he's kind of like a zombie, where he's not quite dead, but he's not alive, but he can still react. So as soon as they get there, Mazga attacks, and he creates like these Groot-looking tree creatures to attack them. And to get out of it, Ray's like, oh, well, I have some tricks up my sleeve. And he ends up going into like giant man mode. So he can not just shrink, he can also grow. And he starts to fight Mazga alongside Carter. So nice little buddy issue. It gets super sciencey with this about him, like even on Earth, like just because he died in Europe, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to reincarnate there. That might have some bearing with him reincarnating in Japan or over, on Krypton. Like, who knows what's going on there. So that's now the central mystery is why this is happening to him, why the nth metal has this reaction with him, and why him and not anybody else. But I like the combination of Ray and Carter. It's a fun pairing. You know, they're up there with like Ollie and Hal as a buddy duo. So yeah, you have the scientist and the meathead. Like, it goes together well.
How is Hitch's art still doing it for you?
Yeah, it's still I don't want to call it replacement level because in baseball you have the stat called wins above replacement, and that's like how worthy the player is over like just the average Joe at that same position. And I feel like Hitch is kind of sometimes that average Joe level where it's good, but he's not gonna like win you any extra games. But his Hawkman looks good. The Atom, Ray Palmer looks pretty good. So, nothing too bad. Like, I don't have any nitpicks. I wish Connor was here because Connor nitpicks the art more than I do, so I'm sure he'd find something. But yeah, it's serviceable.
Don't remind me of the cross that wasn't there on that panel and then was there on
Yeah,
the next
I
panel.
know.
Don't remind me of this.
I know. That's one of the Connor isms.
Oh, dude, he's the worst. He's the actual worst. What are you giving Hawkman?
Yep. So this is a 7.5, another solid issue. Nothing great, like compared to the last couple where we've gotten some like cool timey-wimey stuff with him fighting different versions of himself. This was just basically getting to the nitty-gritty. So, but yeah, 7.5.
All right, okay. That goes on to Plastic Man number 5, which me and Connor read. Connor's not here, of course, so I'm going solo for this one. So this issue kind of starts with him saying, "Oh yeah, last issue I found out that all this Cabal stuff was fake. Man, I must have looked like a right chump. God damn it!" And then it cuts to you flip the page, and then the Cabal's real. So he's talking about how much he was a chump he was for believing it, and now they're real. So now he's a double chump. He's chumpceptioned himself. So that's fun. And you've got Queen Bee there. You got Dr. Psycho. You got Amazo. You got this really wacky team there, and they've got
no kidding.
They've got a Durlin. Okay.
Durlin, yeah, shape changers.
Yeah.
Chameleon.
With the tentacles, very the Thing-esque creature from DC Comics. So, basically, this issue has him saying goodbye to the kid. Right? He's taking the kid out to a day at the fair with his lady friend from the club, and they're having this perfect, almost family outing. And he says to the kid, "Hey, like, I'll accept you for whoever you are," and is a promise, and they end up hugging and like kind of like it's this sweet embrace, and then social services shows up behind them, and he'll arrange this because he didn't think he was fit to look after the kid and wanted to make sure that he goes to a proper home and gets care that he needs.
Right.
But the kid's not happy. He is livid. He's screaming. He's like, "No, you promise. You're full of shit." Essentially, and even his lady friend says the same thing. I thought you were a good person deep down, and walks off. And it kind of leaves him in this place where he's like, technically he did the right thing there, but everyone else is mad at him for the way he did it. And he's like, "Oh, sometimes doing the right thing doesn't get you the points. You have to be hated while you're doing it." So he's having a tough time with that, and he goes after Man-Bat at one point because Man-Bat's who was fighting, who was hired by what's her face? I forgot her name. His contact, the one who told him about the Cabal in the first place, the agent. Okay. But she paid off Man-Bat to attack him to pretend that the Cabal was real. But she calls him. She's like, "No, the Cabal is real. Seriously, the Cabal is real. Damn it! And you're chasing me right now." What do you mean me? It's like, "No, you." Plastic Man, Elongated Man is... No, Plastic Man. Why am I getting confused? Plastic Man is chasing me.
Yeah.
I'm having a moment. Do you know what it is? Because the Flash came back, so the Elongated Man's on the Flash, but the character's so Plastic Man-y.
Real quick, I never finished last year's Flash because I wasn't digging the Thinker stuff.
Yeah.
Do I need to? Can I just jump into the season?
There was a cliffhanger. There was a reveal right at the end of the season that it'd probably be worth watching the last couple of minutes of the finale just to be set up for this season. But other than that, probably not.
Okay.
I'll tell you this though. Ralph had one of the best lines of dialogue of the entire show in the premiere this season.
Okay, well, I'm there for Ralph. So,
your mic's going, I think.
like,
But the line was what he's only just finding out time travel's a thing, and he's been finding out about it off camera, and it just cuts to him having a conversation with Caitlin where he says, "What I don't get is why didn't Eddie just have a vasectomy?" And that just made me laugh. I thought it was a great line. It was good. But anyway, so it's the Durlin who's just chasing after her. So
okay.
Plastic Man shows up and he fights the Durlin, and we get a lot of wacky shapes. We get the Durlin starts being a big mouth and trying to eat him, and he ends up having he turns his hand into like an axle, for a car, to lift it, to sort of, to pry the mouth open. It's really inventive fighting. It's very stuff. Lots of big wacky constructs, if you will, if you want to call them that, and you get and eventually the Durlin goes full thing. It goes full multiple mouths, multiple wacky, Giger-esque,
right.
Just mess of flesh and whatever else. Super, super, super nasty. But it's really fun, really bombastic. And then the last page of the book, we actually go back to, if you remember the girlfriend of the the gangster, the old contact of Eels, where he messed up his girlfriend by trying to recreate the experiment that happened to Plastic Man, and it left her scarred. And she gets turned down for this singing job because of her looks. And she goes up, and I shit you not, she punches the guy who turns her down through the head. It goes to this side shot of silhouette, and her hand's going through his head, and it's just a splatter of blood coming out the other side. It is brutal.
Wow. So that's a gear shift for this book.
And then she's like, "This is all Eel O'Brien's fault. I'll never work again, and it's all his fault. I'm going after him." And it ends with a close-up of her eyes, her evil eyes. She's coming for him.
Oh, snap.
So I was still thinking the heart of this book's great, but the humor especially is fantastic. And Plastic Man, when they play with what he can do with his body, when they play with the fact that he can make anything out of his body, it can be great fun. But Simone's got the voice down so well. It's been such a delightful read. And the art's great as well. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned that Adriana Melo, of course, did the art. Very, very good as well. It's been consistent throughout the whole thing. Like I say, it's the inventiveness. It's very pulpy. It's the sort of it's expressive, but it's expressive in almost a very cartoony, puffy way. Very. I guess that's where the pulpy comes from. But that's what it is. But again, very, very inventive with all.
See, that turn right there made me want to go back and check out the book.
Yeah.
Because now I want to know what's up with her.
Oh yeah.
So.
Super pulpy.
Oh.
I'm dying. Hold on. Oh, don't kill time, Matt. Well,
no, sorry. I clicked on a thing.
We have a term for that. It's called dead air, Matt. It's called dead air.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I was. I had Newsarama up from the solicits, and they had a Heroes in Crisis thing come up, and I got distracted. So
God, it's like working with a dog. There's a shiny keys in the distance, and he gets distracted.
Huh?
I'm not going to dignify that with a response. So no, Plastic Man's been super enjoyable though.
That's good.
This is a mini, of course. This has only got one issue left.
Yeah.
This is the second last issue. We got issue 6 is the final one. That's next month. So looking forward to it.
Good.
So I'd give that a solid. Solid 8. I can't fault it.
I mean, yeah, a Durlin shows up and I automatically pop for that. So, they're cool.
I can't fault it. And the way they're playing with his guilt, the way they're playing... If anything, my only real complaint about the issue is that I think the first page is very recap heavy. And while I appreciate recapping the events, I wish DC Comics would put a recap page in more. It's in narration boxes, and it's like the first page is just this wall of narration boxes to explain what's happened so far. And I appreciate the effort, but it's like, this could have been condensed a bit. this could have been made a bit briefer or whatever. So...
Yeah.
Condense it. I mean, Plastic Man can condense his body. Why can't we condense the...
Yeah. I missed those recap pages from the comics when I was growing up, because you would just pick up any comic and they would have who each character is, a quick little like what they're like for X-Men, their power set, and what happened in the last issue that led to this.
Well, I mean, Marvel's still got recap pages. I mean, somehow Bendis gets to do it on Action for some reason. For some reason, just on Action Comics, we get a recap page. I don't know why, but
maybe it's up to the writer, and just most of the contemporary writers don't want to do one. You know,
I feel like I think it'd be closer to 50-50 if it was up to the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is an editorial thing, but for some reason, Bendis is getting away with it on Action. Yeah. But I don't know. Anyway,
well, he can keep working his magic because I love Action. So
Action's great. Yeah. Anyway, that's the books this week, which does take us on to our last section of the podcast where we pick our favorite books of the week. We do our top 5, we do our best cover of the week, best art, and best panel/moment. So, best panel/moment, Matt. What are you picking?
Yeah. So mine's from Superman, and it is the Superman admitting that he wants to pop Batman's head off sometimes, and just John's reaction to that. Like, it's a nice little surprise. Like, I couldn't believe Bendis had Superman say that. You know,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, I have temptations to go with the Adam Strange page at the end. I've got temptations to go with Supergirl reaction to Crypto. You know, catching
that's pretty good.
The crystal. But I think I'll actually go with Titans. I'm going to go with Tyler dying. Like, you know, the confirmation. No, sorry, he's dead. It didn't work because I think that dark ending took a little bit of balls not to have the cop out.
Big time. Big time. You know,
it hit me hard. It was like, oh, all hope is truly gone. We're screwed. Yeah. So I respect that. So next up, best cover of the week, and there's a few contenders here. I think, if I remember right. What are you thinking, Matt?
So mine has to be the Hughes variant for Superman. I love that big open space over the Daily Planet, and Superman's over there.
Yeah.
Oh man, it looks great. But I also love Supergirl with the Connor Crypto. But I've picked those in the past.
Even just the Art Germ main cover is really nice.
It's a little bit too close to manga for me on this one.
I can see that. Wonder Woman's main cover is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
As is the variant. The variant.
Variant. Yeah.
In fact, that Wonder Woman variant may have to be my pick. I may have to go with that.
Yeah, I also like the Catwoman variant. That one. Who did that? That was Art. See, that's an Art Germ that I really enjoy. Is that Catwoman variant?
Yeah, like you can kind of tell by the same person, but he's definitely put a different style into the face for Supergirl. But. No, I like how his covers look, but I'm going to go with the Wonder Woman one, which I think was Fission, I think.
Fission, yeah. It's ever since Rucka kicked what's-his-face off, they've been Fission.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys tend to love her covers. I like them, but I don't tend to love them as much as you do, but I think this close-up of her face with the white eyes of the magic is really working for me. So, best art of the week. What are you picking?
This is a tough one because it's a 4-way as of right now. And so
let me guess.
I'm gonna defer to you.
Kolins, Maguire, and Jones.
It was actually Peeples.
Oh, Peeples. Okay, cool.
Fourth one. So this one's really tough. Well, and even you can throw Tech in there too, for Segovia, because that was solid.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
And Lupacchino, like. This is a tough one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's between the three. I think it's between the first three I said.
Okay.
I really like the Kolins and the Flash this week, and I gave it to Supergirl last time. Maybe the last 2 times that Supergirl was out. But I still think Supergirl's the one that's really nailing it for me more than the others.
Yeah. You know what? Because of all the big blockbustery stuff, I'm going to give it to Superman.
Okay.
And because it balanced the blockbustery stuff with the flashback. Yeah. I'll go Superman.
Yeah, I'm going to go Supergirl, which is becoming a bit of a trend here. Next up, then, we have top 5 books of the week. So there you go, Matt. Take it away.
So number 1, Superman. Number 2, Supergirl. Number 3, The Flash. Number 4, Titans. And number 5, what am I going to go with for number 5? I think number 5, I'll go Catwoman.
All right. I'm going to go Supergirl number 1. I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Superman number 2, Flash number 3. This is very close so far. And then I think after that we're looking at. I think we're looking at maybe Titans.
Yeah, it's a lot of show Titans.
Yeah, Titans, and then Plastic Man.
Mm?
There you go.
There you go, Swerve.
That's my pick.
Do that curveball right in there.
Yeah. I mean, Wonder Woman was good, but I think that just because it felt like that middle chapter kind of syndrome. It couldn't rank as highly as some of the other ones. But
it was a solid. As I was reading my books on the plane, I was like, wow, this is a very solid week for comics. So,
absolutely. Which does lead me to tell you what's coming next week. So here's what's coming up on the docket. So we do have Sideways number 9, that's carrying over from what should have been out this week. We have Justice League Dark number 4, which is the next part of the crossover. We have Justice League 10. We have Aquaman 41, which is part of the build up to the next Justice League arc. We have Batman 57. We have Green Lanterns 57, which is the final issue of that series. And then we are going to be hate reading Nightwing 51 because we're gluttons for punishment. I'm fairly confident that'll be the last one of the book we read until it's changed. Also out next week that we're not covering is Damage number 10, Harley Quinn 52, New Challengers number 6, and Teen Titans 23. So it's a lighter week next week for sure.
Not necessarily a bad thing.
No. That said though, I don't think all of the punishment issues for me and Connor will be next week because we have the 5th week to do them as well. I think Connor has 2, so he might do 1 next week. Depends though, because he's getting back from vacation like the day before we record, so maybe he may not have time to even do that. But he'll be squeezing in the books we have. So that is that's basically the show. So now is the time where I will say if you like the show and if you want to support it, if you want to support everything else we do, but mainly this show, if you're listening to it, is go over to patreon.com/MeloFuzzTV. And you can support us for as little as $1 per month, and that is super great, and we'd appreciate it and love it. At the $5 tier, you get the access to the monthly bonus episode that me and Connor do, where we do like a trade paperback or a graphic novel or whatever. Last one we did was Gotham Central Volume 1. That was a good discussion. And then right now, actually, in fact, the deadline for this technically is like in 24 hours. I'll probably extend it by a couple of days. I'll give everyone until like Thursday to vote on Patreon if you haven't already. For the monthly episode, this month is a vote on Patreon. You can go vote, and it's a horror theme vote. So we have Volume 1 of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing up there. We have Volume 1 of Hellblazer, Arkham Asylum, A Serious House and a Serious Earth, and we have The Wake. Notably, that's 3 Vertigo books because mainline DC doesn't have a whole lot of horror within it. So, but yeah.
Please, guys, vote for The Wake because that's an episode I would watch to see how Pete reacts to The Wake. Matt,
if you don't you try and encourage the votes. You want to vote, you
I like
up.
The Wake. I just you being the sci-fi horror fan, I feel like The Wake's right up your alley. So
I suspect so. So that's the stuff coming up. Obviously, get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. And you can get me specifically on Twitter at Wibble89. Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me at Man of Steel 57.
And if you want to get that blank space that is Connor, you can go at Connor Ryan 94. But that is all the plugging, I believe. So yeah, by all means, like, subscribe, rate us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. All that stuff is good. Apologies once again for this episode being so late. It's a rare occasion where we have to do this. Next week back to normal on Saturday. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.